As the morning sun illuminated Chicago's skyscrapers, Olivia Hunter was already at her desk. She was in her 7th year as a senior designer at the advertising agency, Creative Impulse. The light streaming through the window illuminated the photo frame neatly arranged on her desk. It contained only her graduation photo. Olivia had meticulously tied her hair in a ponytail and was dressed in a simple yet sophisticated navy blouse and gray pantsuit. Colleagues often called her a perfectionist, sometimes keeping their distance, but everyone acknowledged the quality of her work. Taking a deep breath, she sipped her coffee and checked her emails. A message from her mother was flashing in the corner of the screen. After a moment's hesitation, Olivia decided to open it. "Olivia, I haven't received your response about your father's birthday party. It's next Sunday. Vanessa has even taken special time off work." Olivia sighed as she stared at the screen. Her mother Martha had worked as an English teacher at Oak Park High School in suburban Chicago for 25 years. She was adored by her students and respected by her colleagues. At home, she always portrayed the image of a perfect mother, showing particularly doting affection for her younger daughter Vanessa. "I'll reply later," Olivia muttered, leaving the email marked as read. She didn't want to go to her father's birthday party. Her father George had worked as a sales manager at the local real estate company Hunter Realty for over 20 years. He was sociable, pleasant, and well regarded by clients. However, at home, he always deferred to her mother's opinions and rarely intervened in conflicts between the daughters. Olivia often described her relationship with her father as superficial respect. He was proud of her grades and professional successes, but never truly tried to understand her. Instead, George's attention was always directed toward her sister Vanessa. Vanessa. Just thinking of that name stirred complex emotions in Olivia. Vanessa worked in the personal banking division of the local First National Bank, and rumors of her promotion to assistant branch manager had been circulating recently. With long blonde hair and blue eyes, Vanessa had been the cheerleading captain in school and still maintained an active social life, going out to parties with friends on weekends. "Mother's favorite," Olivia whispered quietly. It wasn't mere jealousy, but a conclusion drawn from years of observation. At family gatherings, her mother would be excited talking about Vanessa while showing only formal interest in Olivia's achievements. Her phone on the desk vibrated. The screen displayed "grandfather." Olivia's expression softened. It was a call from her maternal grandfather, William, a former judge and a wealthy man. He might be the only family member Olivia could truly open up to. "Good morning," Olivia answered the phone with a cheerful voice. "Good morning, Olivia. How are you doing?" William's warm voice resonated. "I'm fine, just busy. How are you doing?" "Still not letting the young ones beat me," William answered with a laugh. "About George's birthday party, you're coming, aren't you?" Olivia hesitated for a moment. "I haven't decided yet, work is keeping me busy." Her grandfather sighed deeply on the other end. "I understand, Olivia. I know how difficult family gatherings can be for you. But would you come for my sake? I'm getting old. There aren't many opportunities for the whole family to gather." Olivia closed her eyes and pressed her forehead with her hand. She couldn't refuse her grandfather's words. "All right, grandfather. Come." "I'm relieved to hear that. Also, I saw the article about your project last month. It was excellent. Your talent is genuine." Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes at his words. After hanging up, Olivia gazed out the window, deep in thought. Since childhood, she had felt like the odd one out in her family. Serious and sincere, her family often described her as boring and inflexible. Her relationships with her family, especially those outside her grandfather, seemed to grow more distant with each passing year. She had been invited to family gatherings less frequently in recent years. Even for Christmas and Thanksgiving, she was increasingly told, "Olivia must be busy." It was partly true, but she sometimes deliberately scheduled appointments, anticipating the rejection. Olivia turned her chair back to face her computer screen. She opened her calendar and checked next Sunday. It was blank. Slowly she typed "Dad's birthday party" and saved it. "I wonder what excuses I'll hear this time," she muttered as she returned to work. Deep down, she yearned for family bonds while constantly fearing rejection. All she wanted was to be truly accepted as a member of the family. On Saturday afternoon, Olivia stood on the porch of her mother's house. The day before her father's birthday party, she had come to print reference materials for a new design project, as her own printer had broken down and the deadline was approaching. Olivia, you came. Martha opened the door and gave her a formal hug. Perfect timing. Vanessa just went out to buy decorations for the party, and I've just ordered the cake. Thank you, Olivia responded quietly. May I use the printer? Yes, of course. Use it in the study. By the way, have you already prepared your father's present? Olivia gave a small smile. Yes, I found the vintage watch he's been wanting. Oh, that's nice, Martha said, but her voice lacked enthusiasm. Vanessa bought a golf set. Your father will be thrilled. Olivia nodded silently and headed upstairs to the study, feeling her mother's words pierce her heart even as she tried not to show any emotion. Entering the study and turning on the computer, a password screen appeared. Olivia sighed. Mom, can you tell me the password? She called downstairs. Oh, I forgot. I changed it last week. Martha came upstairs. My smartphone will be quicker. Your materials came by email, right? Martha unlocked her iPhone and handed it to Olivia. Here, use this. I need to make a final confirmation call about the cake. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. Okay, thanks. When Martha left the room, Olivia let out a relieved sigh. She opened the email app on her mother's smartphone and began searching for the material she had sent herself. She downloaded the attachment and sent it to the printer. As the printer started working, Olivia found herself at loose ends. Unconsciously, she returned to the home screen of her mother's phone and began scrolling through the apps. Her attention was caught by a folder labeled Private Albums. Private Albums, Olivia whispered. Driven by curiosity, she tapped on the folder. The screen displayed dozens of photo albums with titles like Vanessa's birthday, Florida trip 2023, Christmas dinner, family weekend. Olivia frowned. She had never heard about these events. Strange. She tapped on the album titled Vanessa's birthday. Photos appeared one after another. Her sister Vanessa sitting smiling in front of a birthday cake. Surrounding her were their parents, friends, and relatives. Olivia gasped. This was from 3 months ago. She hadn't been invited. What is this? Her hands began to shake. Next, she opened Florida trip 2023. There were photos of her parents and Vanessa enjoying themselves on a beach in Miami. Checking the date, it was the same week Olivia had been told can't go on a family trip because of an important presentation. They lied to me. Olivia's voice trembled. Then Christmas dinner. This was last Christmas, when Olivia had been told there are no special family plans and spent the day alone in her apartment. The photos showed the family around a lavish dinner table. Even grandfather William was there. Olivia's heart began to race. She opened Family Weekend and saw more family photos without her in them. She went through all the albums in the folder one by one. In none of the photos was she present. Why? Tears fell from her eyes. She didn't even notice that the printer had stopped. At that moment, she heard the door opening downstairs. Olivia, did you finish printing the materials? Martha's voice called out. Olivia quickly restored the phone to its original state and wiped her tears. However, she couldn't wipe away the emptiness and pain spreading inside her chest. I did, she answered with a trembling voice. When Martha returned to the study, Olivia had already packed her materials into her bag and was standing. You're leaving already? Martha asked, somewhat surprised. Yes, I still have things to do. Olivia couldn't meet her mother's eyes. Missy, you're coming to the party tomorrow, right? Olivia nodded without saying anything. She hurried down the stairs and toward the front door. Olivia, are you okay? Did something happen? Martha followed after her. Nothing. See you tomorrow, Olivia answered briefly, opening the door and stepping outside. Once in her car, she rested her forehead against the steering wheel and cried quietly. The unease she had felt for years now stood clearly before her in a definite form. She had been excluded from her family. And deliberately so. Back at her apartment, Olivia couldn't sleep all night. She dug into past memories, recalling her family's words and actions. Olivia is busy. Olivia wouldn't be interested. Don't tell Olivia, she'll be hurt. These words now resonated with new meaning. By the time the morning sun streamed through her window, Olivia had made a decision. She picked up her cell phone and sent the message to all family members. Don't contact me anymore. Then she blocked them all. Phone, social media, all means of contact. It was a strange feeling, a mixture of liberation and sadness. Chicago spring was changing gradually, just like Olivia's state of mind. 3 months after cutting ties with her family, she had maintained her isolation and immersed herself in work. Her reputation at Creative Impulse had risen even more than before, having won an award last month for a campaign for a major beverage company. Sipping her coffee while looking at the cityscape visible from her office window, Olivia felt the void in her heart still aching, but her daily life moved forward. "Want to come to a new yoga class with me?" Her colleague Rachel stopped by her desk. "I heard the instructor is really good this weekend." Olivia smiled. Rachel was a colleague she had become particularly close to since cutting ties with her family. "Sounds good, I'd like to try it." Her cell phone vibrated. It was a call from an unknown number. Normally she would ignore it, but for some reason she felt compelled to answer. "Hello. Olivia, it's me." Olivia's heart jumped at her grandfather William's voice. "Grandfather. I'm sorry, I'm calling from a new number. I heard you blocked everyone in the family." William's voice was calm but contained a hint of sadness. Olivia stood up and headed to the conference room. "I didn't mean to block you too. But no need to explain." "Understand," William said. "But there's something I need to talk to you about. Could you come to my house this evening?" Olivia hesitated. "What is it about?" "I want to talk in person." This isn't a conversation for the phone. Her grandfather's voice had an unusual urgency. "All right," she finally agreed. "I'll come at 6. After hanging up, Olivia stood by the window, looking down at the city of Chicago. The prospect of reuniting with her grandfather brought both expectation and anxiety to her heart. William Morrison's mansion was located in an upscale residential area in northern Chicago. Passing through the stone gates, a well-maintained garden spread out. When Olivia rang the doorbell, the butler Harold greeted her. Olivia was led through the spacious hallway to her grandfather's study. William was sitting in a leather chair in front of the fireplace. His appearance was still dignified, but he seemed a bit thinner than before. "Olivia, I'm glad you came." William stood up and embraced his granddaughter. "Grandfather." Olivia relaxed a little in his arms. "I'm glad to see you're well. Sit down." William pointed to another chair in front of the fireplace. "First, I want to say that I don't blame you for your decision." Olivia nodded silently. "I know about the photos," William said quietly. "Martha told me that you found them." Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes. "Why, grandfather, why am I the only one who was excluded?" William finished her sentence. "That's what I want to talk to you about today." Grandfather stood up and took an old leather-bound album from the bookshelf. "This is the family history I've recorded over the years." Olivia took the album from her grandfather and opened it. It contained family photos she had never seen before. Pictures of her mother Martha when she was young, Christmas scenes with her grandparents, and then, "This is Olivia," gasped. "Yes, your mother and her sister. Your aunt, Elizabeth." Olivia was confused. "Aunt? Does mother have a sister?" "Had," William said gravely. "Elizabeth died 30 years ago. In a car accident." Olivia continued turning the pages. Aunt Elizabeth looked very similar to her mother Martha, but her eyes seemed gentler and more open. "But how does this relate to our family's problems?" William let out a deep sigh. Martha and Elizabeth were always competitive. Elizabeth was bright, sociable, and loved by everyone. Martha, on the other hand, he searched for words, was more introverted and jealous. After Elizabeth's death, Martha changed. The darker aspects of her personality became stronger. "Still, why am I?" "You resemble Elizabeth, Olivia," William said quietly. "Not just in appearance but in character too. Your honesty, your kindness. For your mother, perhaps that brings back painful memories." Olivia was speechless. She stared at her aunt's photos. "However, that's no excuse." William's voice suddenly grew stronger. "What Martha, Vanessa, and George did to you is inexcusable. They lied to me," Olivia said quietly, "telling me there were no family gatherings when in fact. And they lied to me too," William said, unable to contain his anger. "Olivia is too busy to come." Olivia said she's not interested. "I believed them. I was foolish." Tears fell from Olivia's eyes. "You didn't know." "If I had known, I would never have allowed it," William said resolutely. "Vanessa came to me last month, crying, and told me the truth. Probably out of guilt." Olivia looked up in surprise. "Vanessa? Your estrangement seems to have shocked her. She has always done what her mother told her, but this time her conscience must have troubled her." William stood up and walked to his desk. "Olivia, I've made a decision. Next Saturday, I'm holding a special dinner at this house. I'm inviting the entire family." "What? I want you to come." William looked at Olivia with serious eyes. This is also for your vindication. And I have something to tell everyone. The whole family. Olivia looked at her grandfather with a confused expression. Grandfather, what are you planning? That's a surprise for the day. William smiled slightly. I'm proud of you, Olivia. Of your strength and sincerity. And now, it's time to demonstrate that to the entire family. Olivia took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts. She didn't feel ready to face her family again. However, seeing her grandfather's determined gaze, she nodded weakly. All right, grandfather. Come. Good decision, William said with satisfaction. I'll send formal invitations, but the dress code is formal. I want to make it an occasion worthy of celebrating the family reunion. As she was leaving, Olivia turned at the door and asked her grandfather, Grandfather, are you sure about this? You seem to be plotting something. William smiled. Don't worry. It's just that the time has come for the truth to be revealed. On Saturday evening, Olivia arrived at her grandfather's mansion dressed in a black cocktail dress. Feeling a tightness in her stomach from nervousness, she approached the front door. Inside, her family had already gathered. Father George, Mother Martha, and Sister Vanessa. Their expressions varied. Martha was clearly anxious, George confused, and Vanessa looked at Olivia with eyes full of guilt. Olivia. George approached. It's been a while. Yes, it has, Olivia answered briefly. An awkward silence ensued. At that moment, William entered the room. He was wearing a black tuxedo and appeared unusually dignified. Everyone, please be seated, William announced. Tonight is a special dinner. As everyone sat around the dining table, William picked up his glass. Before making a toast, there's something I want to tell everyone. He stood up and said in a solemn voice. For many years, I have cherished the honor of this family. I have valued honesty and dignity. He looked at Olivia. And tonight I want to reaffirm those values. William looked around the table. Martha, George, Vanessa. His voice sounded cold. I know what you have done to Olivia. Excluding her from the family, lying, hurting her. Martha's face changed color. Add that. Be quiet, William's voice was stern. I don't want to hear excuses. These are not the values I taught you. He walked over to Olivia. Olivia Hunter is the most honest, hardworking, and valuable person in this family. Her success is all the result of her own efforts. Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes. William placed his hand on her shoulder. And tonight I have made a decision, he said, facing the table. I designate Olivia as the heir to my fortune and business. A wave of shock ran through the room. Martha gasped. George half rose from his chair. Vanessa's face turned pale. Dad, what do you mean? Martha asked in a trembling voice. It's clear, William answered calmly. After my death, the Morrison family fortune and management rights to the real estate business will transfer to Olivia. This is my final decision, and the legal procedures are already complete. Olivia was stunned. She looked up at her grandfather, overwhelmed by his determined expression. Grandfather. This is not a punishment, William said, addressing the entire family. This is a decision to give the right responsibility to the right person. William raised his glass to Olivia Hunter. My granddaughter and the future of the Morrison family. With trembling hands, Olivia raised her own glass. In the imposing conference room of Morrison Real Estate, Olivia was reviewing newly arrived documents. A week after her grandfather's dinner, she had officially been appointed as a director of the company. Holding a business card with a company logo, it still didn't feel real. The door was knocked, and her grandfather William entered. Getting adjusted, he asked with a smile. Little by little, Olivia answered honestly. I have a lot to learn about the real estate industry. I believe in your sharp insight and learning ability. William sat in the chair opposite her. Besides, you already have proven management sense in the advertising industry. You'll bring a new perspective to this company. Olivia nodded and shifted her gaze to the window. The downtown skyscrapers were visible. What about father and my sister? William's expression clouded. On the surface, they're accepting your appointment. George continues to work in the sales department as before, and Vanessa started working as a financial assistant last week. Is it really okay? Olivia couldn't hide her concern. They probably need time to face the truth, grandfather said quietly. Now then, from today, I'm giving you access to all accounting records and transaction histories. To understand the company's reality, it's important to know its past. From that day on, Olivia began dividing her time between her job at the advertising agency and managing Morrison Company. Her attention to detail and analytical skills quickly began to show results. She scrutinized the accounting records for the past 5 years and investigated transaction patterns. 3 weeks later at night, Olivia remained at the company office, concentrating on reading materials. She frowned as she checked the same numbers repeatedly. Strange, she muttered. The monitor displayed the company's accounting system. She investigated deeper, cross-referencing bank account statements, deposit and withdrawal records, and client transaction histories. Finally, she discovered a pattern of irregularities. Olivia took notes with trembling hands and printed out the data. Over the past 3 years, funds had been regularly withdrawn from the company and transferred to multiple accounts that were difficult to trace. Further investigation revealed that these accounts were related to personal investments by her father George and sister Vanessa. Unbelievable. Olivia gathered the materials and stuffed them into her bag. She needed to report to her grandfather immediately. The next morning in William's home study, Olivia explained her discovery. "Do you have proof?" William asked with a stern expression. "Yes, all the evidence is here." Olivia spread out the files. "Father and my sister have diverted about $2 million from the company over the past 3 years. Overcharging clients, fictitious expenses, fake transaction records. I have evidence for everything." William was silent for a long time. Anger and disappointment flickered in his eyes. "I was blind," he finally said. "My own daughter and granddaughter, such betrayal. What will you do?" Olivia asked quietly. William stood up and walked to the window. "I considered legal action, but that would expose the family's shame." He turned around. "Instead, I'll hold another family meeting. This time I'll call all relatives." "All of them?" Olivia asked in surprise. "Yes, all members of the Morrison and Hunter families. Including cousins. About 30 people." William's voice was filled with determination. "For the honor and future of the family, all truths should be revealed." A week later, William's mansion was bustling with relatives for the first time in a while. Olivia sat next to her grandfather, nervous, but with a straight back. She looked at her father and sister sitting on the opposite side of the room. They were clearly anxious. After dinner, William stood up and clinked his glass. "Dear family members, I've gathered you all today at this important crossroads for the Morrison family," he said solemnly. "My life is drawing to a close. In the time I have left, I want to secure the future of this family." He beckoned to Olivia. She stood up and stood beside her grandfather. "I formally announced Olivia Hunter as the next president of Morrison Real Estate," William declared. A murmur arose in the room. "However, before that, there's something I want everyone to know." William slowly looked around the room. "Recent investigations have revealed that company funds were misappropriated." The room suddenly fell silent. "George, Vanessa, stand up." William's voice was stern. Olivia's father and sister stood up, trembling. "You have betrayed the trust of the Morrison family." William held up a file. "Here is the evidence. Evidence that you diverted company funds for private use and falsified records." "Wait, that's a misunderstanding." George desperately raised his voice. "You'll have an opportunity to explain," William said calmly. "But the evidence is clear." Martha stared at her husband and daughter, her face pale. "Is this true?" Her voice trembled. Vanessa had tears in her eyes and couldn't speak. George also fell silent. "This is my judgment," William declared. "George and Vanessa are banished from Morrison Company as of today. Olivia will take full authority over the company." The room buzzed. Relatives looked at each other with expressions of surprise and shock. Olivia stood quietly, savoring the irony of fate. The family that had excluded her would now be excluded by her. But there was no joy in her heart. Only a quiet conviction that justice was being served. The summer sun in Chicago reflected off the glass windows of Morrison Real Estate's new office building. As preparations for the first anniversary celebration continued, Olivia stood by the window, gazing at the city view. Over the past year, her life had changed in unimaginable ways. "Everything is ready, President." Her secretary Jennifer smiled as she entered the room. Olivia turned around and returned a grateful smile. "Thank you." "Has grandfather arrived?" "Yes, he's waiting in the lobby. Almost everyone else has gathered too." Olivia took a deep breath and relaxed her shoulders. "Let's go then." As she rode the elevator, she reflected on the past year. After her father and sister's fraud was exposed, she courageously resigned from Creative Impulse and devoted all her energy to rebuilding Morrison Company. Initially, she struggled to regain the industry's trust, but her integrity and innovative approach gradually won recognition. Currently, Morrison Company had achieved 20% growth compared to the previous year and was once again a respected company in the real estate industry. Arriving at the lobby, William was standing straight despite holding a cane. Next to him was Olivia's mother, Martha. "Olivia," her mother called out, looking a bit tense. "Mom, thank you for coming," Olivia responded quietly. Repairing the relationship with Martha was slow and not easy. After deciding to separate from George, Martha had attempted to contact her daughter and apologized multiple times. Olivia had initially kept her distance, but over time began to open her heart. "You've raised a wonderful company," William said, embracing his granddaughter's shoulders. "I'm proud." "It's all thanks to you, grandfather," Olivia smiled. At the venue, clients and employees had gathered to celebrate Olivia's achievements. Models and drawings of new projects were displayed on the walls, symbolizing Morrison Company's bright future. When it was time for the congratulatory speech, William took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for gathering today. 1 year ago, I made a major decision regarding the future of this company. And now, I am confident that decision was correct." He extended his hand to Olivia. As she stepped onto the stage, applause erupted. Later in the party, as Olivia was taking a break in a quiet corner, her mother approached. "I heard from Vanessa," Martha said quietly. "She's still unable to recover from the broken engagement." Olivia nodded silently. Her sister's fiancé's family had broken off the engagement immediately after the fraud was exposed. "What did you tell her?" "The truth," Martha answered. "That actions have consequences." A quiet understanding flowed between them. "What about Dad?" Olivia asked. "I heard he got a job at a small real estate company in another state." Martha shrugged. "We won't be getting back together, I think." Olivia gazed out the window. The sunset was beginning to spread across the sky. The hatred and anger were gradually fading, and instead, a quiet acceptance and determination to move forward filled her heart. "A new beginning," she said quietly. "Yes," Martha agreed. For all of us, Olivia gave her mother a small smile. The future was still uncertain, but she was confident in the path she was walking. No hidden truth would ever shake her again.